Welcome to the 1999 school year and our Back to School special. During our show, we'll introduce you to what's new in the St. Paul Public Schools. The new superintendent, Dr. Patricia Harvey, will discuss the new strategic plan, Raising Expectations, a plan that will act as a blueprint for what the St. Paul Public Schools must do to prepare all students for life. Following our discussion with Dr. Harvey, we'll take a look at the graduation rule. Under the graduation rule, students must show what they know to graduate. We'll meet two students from Harding High School and look at projects they've completed as part of their graduation requirement. Then we'll explore what students and parents can do to get back into the swing of school. Finally, Principal Lewis Scott will join us in the studio to discuss things parents can do at home to help your child succeed. Now here's the host for our show, Sherry Riley.
Thank you for joining me for this Back to School special from the St. Paul Public Schools. This program was designed to help students and families make the most of the 1999-2000 school year. This school year marks the beginning of major changes in our schools. In an era when school districts and cities across the country are struggling over how to best educate students, St. Paul is creating a new model of cooperation among the schools, the city, the state, and the entire community. With the goals of increasing student achievement and creating world-class education, Dr. Harvey and our Board of Education asked St. Paul's Mayor Norm Coleman, Governor Jesse Ventura, and key business, civic, and education leaders, as well as the St. Paul community, about their views on what world-class education should include. Their input resulted in the district's strategic plan, Raising Expectations. Included in the plan are 5 important target areas that the district will address. They include preparing all students for life, providing clear and accurate reporting, engaging the public, and creating institutional change, and respecting and including all cultures and differences. Dr. Harvey will join me in the studio to discuss the district's strategic plan for implementing these 5 target areas, as well as our new citywide reading campaign, St. Paul Reads. Research shows that children who read often increase their vocabulary, become better writers, and better students overall. Here are some tips on reading to children.
Reading is the most important skill your children will ever learn. Be a good example. Let your children see you read. Visit your local library with your family often. Set aside a time each night for reading. When your children are young, read to them. As they grow older, encourage them to read on their own. Be patient and praise them for doing a good job.
Joining me today is St. Paul's Superintendent Dr. Harvey. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Your theme for this school year is Raising Expectations. Would you describe what this means for the district?
Well, what it means is that all of us are capable of much, much more. When I talk with kids all over the city, what they want from us is for us to recognize that they can do high quality work. They want us to really kind of peek into their real potential and tap it. And so we're raising the expectations for kids, for our teachers, the principals, our families, superintendents, superintendent staff. The board says raise the expectations for them too. So we're expecting much, much more.
Could you describe what it means, what it's going to mean for each of these groups to be accountable?
Well, what it means is that, first of all, we have to be very, very clear on what we want each group to do, to know, and to be able to do. And so it all starts with academic standards, and of course the state leads the efforts in deciding what's appropriate for all kids in Minnesota. And then in St. Paul, we have to take a look at that and say, is this enough? Do we want to have more? Does it reflect enough in terms of what life is like in St. Paul? And if not, tweak it so that it works for us. So it's about standards for kids, their teachers. We need to know that our school leaders are prepared to drive home these kinds of instructional programs. So it has a standards piece for all of us. A part of the accountability plan has to do with providing quality reviews for all schools. And then in our city that is very vast, the kids in St. Paul are very, very, very unique. We have kids who speak 61 different languages. Some of them who come straight from another country right into our classrooms the very next day. And so as a part of that, there's a lot of extra help that they're going to need. We have kids who, for no fault of their own, have fallen through the cracks. They need additional support in order to do better in school. So what I'm saying is that or a lot of our schools have an extra charge, and a part of our accountability plan will place some schools on academic probation. And that is a cry for help. And what we're going to do inside of the district is to prioritize these schools, and we'll be naming them in a short while. And we're going to make sure that they're at the top of the list for all of the services. Not that we're going to neglect other schools, but we will make sure that we unpack everything that's happening and that we allow no child to fall through the cracks. And in addition to our work, I'm already getting phone calls and having conversations with people all over the city who are saying, we're going to step up to the plate. We too are going to prioritize working with this set of schools so that we can ensure that all of them have a proper start in life. So our accountability plan, and I've just kind of highlighted some pieces of it. It raises the expectations, it monitors what we do, it ensures that every school is getting better, and we're going to require that for all of our schools and all of our staff.
Why don't we change our topic here to the first annual St. Paul Reads campaign? And I am really excited about this because I'm an English teacher, and of course I think reading is so important in education. So why don't you describe the program for the viewers?
Okay. We have a 25-book reading campaign, and what we're saying is that all of our kids are going to read 25 books a year. And we kind of launched it in a small way over the summer, and the kids were only required to read 6 books during the 6-week summer vacation. Some of them read 40, 50, 70.
Wow, that's
a little
great.
boy at Four Seasons School had an award for reading 70 books. Why 25 books? I'll tell you why. Because we know that the difference in some students' achievement has to do with literacy. And the way you get better at reading is to read. Now, of course, there's a big job that we have to do, especially in the early grades, to make sure that they're learning effectively the first time. But research has shown us that if our kids can be charged with reading 25 books or more, they're likely to meet new words 7 times. It takes 7 times before that word actually becomes a part of your vocabulary.
Now, I understand you also want to get the community involved in the
Oh,
campaign.
yes.
Explain that aspect.
We're going to have fun with reading in St. Paul. St. Paul already does. But the mayor of the city, this fine city, has said, I'm going to wrap my arms around reading. I am going to use all the power within my office to see if we can eliminate literacy as a problem in St. Paul. So together we began to add new partners to this work. The libraries, as a part of his organization, stepped forward, and we've been working with them in brand new ways. The bookstores are involved. We had Lawson Software, who volunteered to help us create a program so that we can record all of these thousands of books that kids are reading, and to do it in some very unique ways. I meet with people all the time. Today, in fact, I had 2 meetings with 2 very large companies, and they're figuring out how can they help with it. One of them said to me today, perhaps we need to have a big literacy fair like Los Angeles has had. So there is room for everyone. All of the community organizations are going to be working with kids and their families around literacy. We want every baby born in St. Paul as a part of the welcoming kits that new mothers get. We want them to get a kit about how to help their child in reading. And I'd like to see all of our pediatrician offices to have lots of books and information for parents around how to help their kids read. So there is literally an opportunity for everyone in St. Paul to be a part of this. Now, we're going to create a campaign that we can have fun with, too. So look around St. Paul after September 14th when we unveil it. You're likely to see some billboards or signs on buses or police cars. For example, one might say, if you can't read this, then you must not be from St. Paul. So lots of fun around literacy.
It'll be interesting next spring to see who reads more, the community
Yes.
or the kids. I have a feeling the kids might win. I don't
They
know,
might
my
win.
kids did a really great
Right.
job last year. So that's great. Thank you so much for your insights. We are so fortunate to have you in St. Paul.
I am happy to be here. This is a wonderful place to be a leader.
We'll be right back after this message.
Today's students are tomorrow's employees. Elementary school is the perfect time for your child to begin learning good job training skills, such as pride in work, listening to and following directions, and completing assignments on time. A positive attitude is vital to success at school and in the workplace.
Welcome back. Increased accountability will change what students learn this year. Our students will be expected to show what they know before they can graduate. This next segment looks at what this means.
For more than a decade, parents, employers, and colleges have been asking our public schools to provide a more relevant education to our students. After several years of planning, Minnesota school districts, including the St. Paul Public Schools, have begun implementing a new and exciting way of learning. The state's graduation standards signal the first major change in the way education has been taught in over 100 years. The old system was based on the amount of time a student spent on a particular subject. The new system outlines what is expected of students and requires them to show what they know.
Across the whole country, there's a major concern about why kids are not getting a meaningful education. It's a concern to everyone. It's a concern at the high school level as well as the entire country. Are we doing our job? I think we are. I think our teachers work very hard, but something isn't clicking with young people. So what the standard is just another approach to how we can get through to some of our young people in education. Anytime you've got your students more involved with their hands and doing things and planning things, rather than just listening and memorizing, it's a better approach.
The graduation requirements include two key parts. Students must pass the Basic Standards Test, a test first given in 8th grade for reading and math and in 10th grade for written composition. High standards dictate that students beginning in 9th grade must complete 24 performance packages or portfolios in 10 learning areas. The high standards define a way of learning in which the students must not only know a subject, but they must be able to apply their knowledge of that subject through a demonstration or performance. The 10 learning areas under which the performance packages must be completed include read, listen, view, write and speak, arts and literature, mathematical applications, inquiry, scientific applications, people and cultures, decision-making, resource management, and world languages. A performance package is made up of locally designed assignments that show whether a student has learned and can apply the knowledge and skills outlined in that standard. Ruth Lundquist, a teacher at Harding High School, recently had students work on a performance package under the Read, Listen, and View learning area.
They have to be able to read a technical manual, apply the information they've achieved through that manual to produce something. And they learned the process of PowerPoint and all the various aspects of it, and they were able to research a subject and produce a presentation. They used a lot of creativity. They went onto the internet and researched the subject. One did it on tornadoes, the other did it on the state of Colorado, and they did an excellent job. They had to think more rather than having it just given to them. It did take them over 2 weeks to do one project, and it was just a 10-slide PowerPoint presentation, but it was original It was their own research.
With this kind of like a study, a little bit of PowerPoint, it gave me an idea of what the kind of technology they use out there and how people apply that with Microsoft. You will use what you have learned to come up with a project that shows that what you have learned and what you have done. So it's sort of like hand-on experience. I did my project research on the state of Colorado.
It's a great learning experience. It tells you a lot about the PowerPoint program, and it gives you a lot of basis or information on the computer, actually. It was fairly easy to get information. Most of my information came from the internet, and then I copied it over onto my presentation.
Presentations such as these, along with other projects assigned under a performance package, are evaluated by the teacher. Teachers assign students a score of 4, 3, 2, or 1 for each performance package a student completes. This year's legislature continues to consider changes to the high standards, and modifications may yet take place. The St. Paul Public Schools' hope and belief is that the high standards will help our students meet the demands of the 21st century.
Our whole society has changed so that there's so many things out there where kids know that there's got to be reason for everything that they do. Now they want it. The standards really gives us reason for what we're doing.
As students prepare for the new school year, parents can help their children get back in the swing of school. New beginnings often bring mixed emotions such as hope, fear, and anxiety. Watch this next segment for ideas to help your family make the transition back to school.
Sleep is very important for a successful education. Have kids go to bed earlier each night until they are back to a bedtime that gives them the sleep they need to do their best in school. Ask your children about their hopes and fears for the new school year. Help them figure out what they can do to bring their hopes to life. Calm fears by helping them think about how they might deal positively with things that worry them. Talk to your child's teacher and principal, describing your child's personality, interests, and learning style. Be sure to let the teacher know the best way you can be reached and encourage teachers to contact you with any questions or concerns. Be sure your child understands after-school arrangements. If you have arranged for after-school daycare or other after-school programs, make sure your child knows when and where you will pick them up. If your child is starting a new school, visit the school before the first day. Include your child when buying school supplies. Having children choose their own materials will help build excitement for the start of school.
We've asked Principal Lewis Scott from Mann Elementary School to join us with some additional thoughts on how parents can provide a more learning-friendly home environment. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sherry.
How can parents become more involved in their child's education?
Well, primarily by making sure that kids understand that education is a very serious business, that you can't get any place in life without an education, and at home, parents can prepare kids for that education at school each and every day primarily by making an environment that's conducive to learning, making sure that there's an adequate space at home for a child to read books, talk with other friends when they come over, look at magazines. It's important that they have a place to study. And also, parents have to set a tone. They have to set a schedule for their children, making sure that they have a consistent timetable in terms of meals, in terms of study time, and also in terms of making sure that they get enough sleep in the evenings. All too often we find that kids come to school tired and they're not ready to do the work that they need to do at school. So it's very important that parents be consistent in those three areas. Also, we're finding that parents, definitely kids have got to have some time for themselves, but they have to make sure that they check those particular times. Playtime, time for sports. There's an awful lot of clubs these days. There's also a lot of video games out there. That's fine, but they should be checked, and parents should be aware of how much time kids are spending in those areas. And another is also television. We see an awful lot of kids watching a lot of television, and their studies have shown that watching television is one of the worst things that you could do in terms of promoting language and promoting reading skills and other types of learning strategies. So it's important for parents to really be involved in what's happening at home and have an idea of what's happening in the school as well, because the home-school connection, when there is that connection, kids tend to be very successful in school.
We should also remind parents and students about the district's homework hotline.
Yes.
Would you describe the service?
Yes, the homework hotline operates from like 8 in the morning to 4 o'clock during the day. I'm sorry, from 4 o'clock until 8 o'clock in the evening. It's run by teachers. And when kids at home, if they have problems with their homework, they can always call, find out exactly what area they're having trouble in. They can describe the problem they're having. And the teachers have the books and the curriculum right there, and so that they can communicate back and forth. If parents also are having some difficulties knowing exactly what's expected of their students on a given topic, they can also call in and ask questions.
And with some of the advanced programs, there are probably a number of parents that would like a little extra help.
It's my understanding that they're taking advantage of
Yes,
this hotline.
Sure. So be aware of that, please. Thank you very much, Mr. Scott, for your helpful tips.
Sure.
We'll be back after this brief message.
Good nutrition and physical well-being are important for success in school. Make sure your child starts the day with a good breakfast every morning. Limit junk foods. Encourage your child to be involved in sports and other physical activities. And don't forget how much 8 hours of sleep each night and a big hug each morning will help your child succeed.
Much of the information we've discussed on today's show can be found in the district's Back to School Guide, which will be mailed to your home this Labor Day weekend. You can also visit our website at www.spps.org to look at the district's strategic plan, Raising Expectations. The St. Paul Public Schools will continue to keep you updated on the news from our schools with district publications throughout the school year. Also, watch for our cable television program, School Talk, on this cable channel, where you can speak directly to our St. Paul Board of Education. This year promises to be a year of achievement and growth as we create a new vision for our district. Have a great year.